What's going on, everyone? It's Sheena, aka Sheenapreneur, your favorite veteran. Today I want to talk to you about the government pay process. So this question is always asked, but in different ways. So I'm going to do my best to kind of bring it together and explain exactly, sort of, maybe how the government pays and some tricks that you can use in order to get paid faster that I have personally used and that I know people use as their strategy. And we'll talk about it right after the intro. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Here on the Sheenapreneur channel, I share information about government contracting, veteran business content, and other business tips. So yes, one of the questions that I always get is, how do I start this contract? Does the government pay me, or do I have to pay up front? Do they give in advance? Do they, how do I get this thing popping, whether I have money or I don't have money? I actually had the pleasure to talk to a young lady who has a nonprofit and she got a grant. And so it kind of like her question about how does the government pay really had me thinking, because usually I'm like, why would anybody think that the government's gonna pay you first? But as a nonprofit, someone who receives grants specifically for things, like they give you a grant in order to execute, they give you the money first. And I hadn't really thought about that they give you the grant first and then you execute on that grant and tell them the milestones and where you are with that, whatever the money is being granted for. Whereas the government is not like that. So 9.999 times out of 10, you will not get in advance for any type of work you're doing with the government. Those who don't know, when I first started, my first contract that I executed, I received in advance. And it really was crazy like that I was able to get that. And I do talk about that in one of my other videos. I'll make sure I leave the link in the description. But basically, gonna have to pay out of pocket 9 times out of 10. So whether you are in the service business or you're in the product business, more so for the product business for sure, you're gonna definitely have to pay out of pocket, like immediately. Because if you're selling products to the government, you need to buy that product. So let's say it's 100 laptops. You have to be able to purchase those laptops. Now, let me back up. Immediately, meaning the government is not going to typically pay you right away before you order those items. So let me just kind of clear that up. So when it comes to you buying those 100 laptops, you're either paying for it out of your own pocket or business money or however you get the money in order to purchase. Or if you already have a relationship with Dell, for example, say you have credit with Dell, and I'm not sure if that's even really a thing for real. I'm pretty sure it is. Or some other type of company that is able to acquire laptops and other types of electronics, then you might be able to get a credit with them where they'll allow you up to a certain dollar amount that you can acquire items, i.e. 100 laptops, and then you can do a net 90 or a net 30 or a net 60 with that company. So essentially, you go to company A, let's say it's not Dell, let's say it's a third party and they do net 90. So you go to them and you say, look, I have this large purchase order from City of Compton. I don't know. I just thought about the song City of Compton. Anyway, so like City of Compton is looking for 100 laptops. I can provide them. I have no problem delivering them or however it needs to be done. Company A, you have all these, electronics that you're able to sell to consumers. I have this big order. Can you give me a credit? Like, are you able to extend credit, like a credit card, or extend some sort of vendor credit to me? And then, of course, that's giving you a boost in your sales. So whatever your price is, you're getting that all at once. And they might say, of course, most of the time you have to build that relationship ahead of time, but sometimes if you don't, it's always good to build a relationship ahead of time. Like it really is. And I want to kind of deviate a little bit from what I was originally going to say, because people will ask me that, am I supposed to build a relationship first? Preferably, if you know you're going to be selling laptops and electronics, build a relationship with company A, whatever that company is that sells those items. And so you can build up a credit, because they may not start you off with that amount. They might not trust you. They don't know you. So it's always best to start that relationship first. Okay, boom. We see the purchase order you showed us as proof, and we'll allow you to get these laptops and you don't have to pay us for 90 days. Or you have to pay a deposit, which is still okay, because you might have the deposit amount. It might only be, $150, $200, even $1,000. That's still way cheaper than whatever that total amount for those 100 laptops are. So you're able to get those 100 laptops, right? For example, this is just an example. Deliver it to the City of Compton, and then you turn them in. You turn in your invoice the same day, right? Sometimes they'll pay you right there, credit card, swipe. Or they might say, okay, it's net 30. And that all depends on the contract that you have with the city. It'll usually say say that in the solicitation or the award. Sometimes they can pay with credit cards, sometimes they can't. Credit card usually only is a micro purchase, so unless it's 10,000 or whatever, or under 10,000, then they may have to do whatever, 3 quotes. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. But basically, you've basically come out of pocket of nothing, or maybe $1,000 or whatever their deposit requirements are. And so you're able to start relatively quickly without money or without a whole bunch of money. And then the agency, City of Compton, is going to pay you, and then you can go ahead and pay your supplier who gave you the computers, gave you the laptop. So really, it's like you didn't have to put forth any money. And so that's one of the ways that you can kind of get around, like, does the government pay right away? They usually will when it comes to products, but really you may not have to even worry about it. You're just kind of like filtering the process through you to an agency from another company. And some people ask like, well, why don't they just do it themselves? Why doesn't the City of Compton or whomever just go directly to company A and buy the laptop? Because they don't. Like, stop asking. I don't have the official reason, like I don't have the official FAR regulation or why, but it's usually because they want to spend dollars with small businesses, basically. And company A maybe even be a small business or whatever. They may not even care where you get the laptops from, but they want to spend with small businesses. They want you to be the preferred vendor where you're handling this whole process. All they got to do is say, this is what we want, and you deliver it. You work out all the logistics and everything. So that's the only thing I kind of came up with is they're looking to not have to do any of the process, because who is going to do it actually? So if the agency was going to go buy from company A, they have to set up, they have to do the purchase, they have to do the logistics, they have to get it to wherever. Who going to do that? If anybody's ever worked in the government or even the state or whatever, who's going to be the person to set all this stuff up? Usually that's not going to be someone's specific job to do that specific thing. So they hiring, contractors to do it. And they have a government spend and all. That's a topic for another day. But as far as products, you usually need the money right away, and the government's usually not going to pay you right away, but they usually pay you a little bit faster, usually, not every time, when it comes to products compared to services. So as far as services, a lot of people will want to start there because they don't have any money. They're like, look, I don't have any money. And so I know I can do the service, me personally, or people that I know will wait for payment. So I'm going to start off with services, which is cool. Like, of course, that's where I started, services, which was floor repair. Well, there was some products involved in that too, but floor repair, janitorial, all that kind of stuff, floor waxing. So I started off, of course, I still only do services. I don't really do any products at all. I've only done a couple of products here and there. Regardless, if you do services, then you're going to wait a little bit longer just because of however they do the invoicing system. And if you have employees and the Department of Labor and all these other kind of factors come into play, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I'm just saying when it comes to the government paying you, typically like products might be a little bit faster. Maybe look at your contract, make sure that's what it says. If it's net 30 that they pay you, net 60, whatever the case may be, for local contracts or even federal contracts. So to basically answer that question, no, the government does not pay you first unless they give you an advance. Now, an advance is typically allowed when it comes to construction. So construction or repair, you can usually ask for an advance when it comes to products that are associated with services. So if you have to buy flooring material in order to repair a floor, the service is the floor repair, but you have to buy the products. Typically, that's where you can find an advance. Leave a comment down below if you've seen advances for other services, but typically I've seen that only in like facilities or construction. I haven't seen it anywhere else, or it was a grant. So those are the only places where I've seen in advance be allowed, because they know, you have to buy a lot of stuff, and they don't, typically the government doesn't want to do any harm, because it also harms them if you're not able to execute. So if they're able to give you an advance in order to get materials, or really that's going to be like your material / startup costs for multi-million-dollar contracts, and sometimes they're able to do that. They may not always be able to do that, but you should ask. And some people will say don't ask because it shows that you're not an established company, but a lot of small businesses are not extremely established. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing small business set aside and want to work with small businesses and local businesses. Like, that's the agenda for a lot of agencies right now. So I don't want to say that, you're not showing as being established. I'm showing that I can do the work, but I may not have these specific things. And now I'm going from doing something at, $10,000 to now $100,000. So I just need an advance in order to get started. So that's one way. So products get paid maybe a little bit faster typically sometimes, but services you may have to wait. And really make sure when it comes to corporate contracting, corporate contracting is notorious for 90 days, net 90, where you do the services for 90 days before you get paid. So don't skim over the contract. If you just so happen to land on a corporate contract, which would be providing services or really services or products for banks, for AT&T, T-Mobile, Coca-Cola, any of these other companies, the hospitals, same thing. A lot of times they have net 90. So make sure you pay attention to that. Maybe you can afford it. Maybe net 90 is not painful for you. Maybe it's a smaller contract. So net 90 is not a big deal, but make sure that you pay attention to that because federal usually pays the fastest. They usually pay within 15 days typically, but they usually have up to 30. That's standard. And then local, it depends. Local is like the scale is crazy because I've actually had contracts where they pay me every 2 weeks. And I've had some contracts where they're supposed to pay me at least 30 days. It'll be 40 days, 45 days, and they don't even care. Like they just don't care about you and your little business. So, you just have to make sure that you're looking at that and make sure that's something that you can afford. That's a part of the evaluation process when you're evaluating a solicitation to make sure that you can wait for 30 days or 60 days or even 90 days to get paid. So one good way to get paid faster is to offer a discount. So this is something that I don't really see a lot of people talking about. I've done it a few times, and a lot of these solicitations will have a section for discounts. They'll say, are you offering a discount of 5%, 10%, 15% for early pay? So you can offer, let's just say the contract is $1 million per year. Let's just use easy numbers. So you offer a discount of 5% in order to get paid within 10 days. You might charge the government, and forgive me for what I'm about to reveal, you might offer this contract to the government for $1,100,000, right? But really, you're like, hey, we'll give you a discount of, and I don't know what the percentage is off the top of my head, but 100,000, right? So if you're giving them the discount, really that contract was $1 million, but you're offering the discount and it's 1,100,000 and it takes it down to 1 million for that year. So you're offering a discount, but you're also charging just a little bit more in order to compensate for the discount, but that gets you early pay. And you'll start to see, especially on federal, it's mostly on federal solicitations that it will have discount for early pay. So always offer a discount for early pay where possible, because sometimes the numbers are just crazy, like especially with us in janitorial and stuff like that, there's like several line items, so it gets a little confusing, like what the actual discount is going to be and where it's coming from. So typically you're just going to charge a little bit more in order to get a discount in order to get early pay. You could even do, I've seen somewhere it's like get paid within 5 days. So you offer, like a 15% discount for getting paid within 5 days, because that's the most important, because you already feel like maybe this contract is, a huge percentage in profit. You're willing to take away that 15% of profit in order to pay your people faster, because it might be you need the money quickly. So that's always a strategy. That's like one of the key things that I pulled out of different conferences and talking to different people. Not everybody uses this strategy, but it's super important to offer that. Offer a discount in order for early pay. Also, another thing that I do is I charge a late fee. There's some contracts already written out with the different agencies that will have it built into their contract. And a lot of times they don't even know it's in the contract, and you try to send in your little late fee amount and they'll say, oh no, we don't do that. Ma'am, according to page blah, 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 that's what it says. But late fee has been, like, we have several contracts within one state. So it's different, it's going to different people. So some people pay late, some people pay early, whatever the case may be. And so that has been, it might be a couple of dollars, like $100, $200, but shoot, that's great. That might pay one of my employees' salary for the 2 weeks, something like that for a part-time worker. So, having that in place sometimes makes them pay on time. It actually helped with my contract where I have the multiple in one state, where they started paying attention and paying on time, and paying early, as a matter of fact. So within your proposal, just have somewhere in there where a 1%, 2%, 3%, even up to 5% late fee will be initiated or will be added to the following invoice if this invoice is paid late. That is like another little hack that I found, where they're gonna be like, what is this? I don't even, this is what it says in our contract. And sometimes they try to play like they don't understand or they don't do that. But if it's in the contract and it was signed, that's what it is. And there's not a whole lot of arguing you can do with that. Now you got to kind of pick your battles. If it ends up being a full-on battle with some of these agencies, then you may want to say, okay, let me not ruffle their feathers. They may not give me any more work. If it's like an IDIQ type thing, or you're a vendor, a preferred vendor, they may not give you any more work because you're a hassle. But just FYI, it's something good to add. And if they comply, then that's only, helps you, and it makes you, puts you on the top of the list when it comes to getting paid. So just wanted to share some of those things when it comes to how the government pays. Like, the government will sometimes pay on time, sometimes they don't. This is a people business. They may go on vacation, they may not see it, it may go to their spam. Like, you got to understand that sometimes this stuff is just not automatic. It's not robotic. This is people. They have to evaluate it. The best thing you can do is ensure that your invoices are correct. And when it comes to you doing your invoices, if you're looking at the solicitation or the award, whichever one shows how to do the invoice, ask them, is this the way the invoice is supposed to be done? I would say probably 60% of the contracts we've done, they'll put, this is how the invoice is supposed to be done, and that's not how it's supposed to be done. And what will happen is you'll submit your invoice according to the instructions on the solicitation or on the award, and they'll say, okay, that's not how it's supposed to be done. But they'll say that not the day that you submit it, but like day 28 out of 30. And so you basically been waiting on your money. You've been waiting on your shmoney like the whole month, and they'll tell you this is not the correct way, or can you do it this way? And sometimes they'll take another 30 days. And what they'll say to you is that you didn't submit a proper invoice, even though that's what the instructions said. Now, you can argue all day, but they're only going to move as fast as they're going to move. And there's nothing really that you can do about it. You can file there's different type of forms you can file within, especially state agencies and federal agencies. But I mean, is that going to make them move any faster? Maybe, maybe not. But it's always good when you get awarded a contract, ask, is this exactly how invoices are supposed to be submitted? Is there anything that's supposed to be included? I mean, this has been so painful. Even with corporate contracts, I've had them say, oh no, that's not how it's supposed to be submitted. Well, why didn't you, sis, bro, like, why didn't you say anything when I submitted it or fix your documentation? So make sure that that's like a key component as well. That will save you so much stress and so much headache. So the government is a little tricky. Government and corporate and local. Local is still considered government contracting. So make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. So when you're presenting your legit business, your beautiful business, that you know what you're talking about and you're able to save yourself, because they're, at the end of the day, these people are employees that work at these agencies. They're getting paid usually on the 1st and the 15th. They're getting paid every 2 weeks, and you're a small business and you're trying to make it, especially when you have employees that you got to pay. So just wanted to share some of that with you about how the government pays and, when they pay, and there's all different nuances. I only covered a very brief amount because there's different agencies that do different things. So I wanted to just share some of my experiences and some of the things that I've heard and some of the things that I've done. Again, if you're new here, welcome. And we have our free GovCon Moneymakers community. The link is in the description. If there's any videos you want me to elaborate on, or if there's anything topic you want me to elaborate on when it comes to government or federal or local or corporate contracting, or anything about veteran business stuff, probably going to create a whole series about veteran business stuff, because I feel like it's one of those things that a lot of people don't really understand, or they don't understand which programs they can participate in and things that are free for veterans and that type of thing. But nonetheless, I teach about federal contracting, local contracting, and corporate contracting in my course. And my course comes with mentorship, and you have pretty much unlimited access to me. I help you with solicitations. I help you with all of that because I want y'all to win. I want y'all to succeed. So small businesses will not cease to exist in the government contracting space. So until next time, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And if you feel like this video helped you, please share with someone who wants to get into government, corporate, or local contracting. Until next time, it is your favorite veteran.